All right. What do we do when we break somebody's
business?
Pay for it?
Oh, heavens no. We apologize with nice, cheap words.
This is why we can't have good things. Hi, Richard Davis with Explorers Guild Publishing here. I produce third-party content for D&D, and this has been a week or two or 4. It's really hard to tell at this point. So you may be aware of an animation that I made of the latest drama. It was like a day ago, and of course this can't sit still for a minute. That's why I'm actually doing it live this time, because if the world would like to stop for like 8 hours so I can make another one, that'd be fine, but doesn't look like that's going to be happening. A lot of people have been saying they've been walking things back, and that you might want to read it a little bit more critically first. So I figured we should do a dramatic reading of their new apology. This is all available on D&D Beyond, that's where I'm getting it, so if you want to, I will put a link in the description for the actual text yourself so you can look through it, but it will be scrolling over the top of me as I do this. Hi, I'm Kyle Brink. These past days and weeks have been incredibly tough for everyone. As players, fans, and stewards of the game, we can't and won't let things continue like this. One would like to point out it's their fault this is happening. They didn't have to take away the OGL, but, you know, whatever. I am here today to talk about a path forward. First though, let me start with an apology. We are sorry we got it wrong. Okay, so immediately this one is actually better than the last one they sent out, because that was trash. But, you know, getting some points on actually having an apology, that's pretty great. Our language and the requirements in the draft OG...
Hey, just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
No, it's something we're very excited about.
It was not a draft. You don't send out drafts to get people to sign, and you don't send out drafts to Kickstarter to, like, barter so that they can actually make theirs the preferred platform. It was not a draft. There go your points. Our language and the requirements in the draft OGL were disruptive to creators and not in support of our core goals of protecting and cultivating an inclusive play environment and limiting the OGLs to TTRPGs. One thing they keep hammering on this is they want to prevent NFTs. I'm unaware of anyone actually trying to do that except for Hasbro themselves, so that is another complete lie. That's an actual lie. Ignore that. They're trying to gaslight you again, like they did with their previous apology. Then we compounded things by being silent for too long. We hurt our fans and creators when more frequent and clear communications could have prevented so much of this. Starting now, we're going to do this a better way, more open and transparent, with the entire community of creators. With time to iterate, get feedback, and to improve. I think enough people have actually told you that if you just leave the OGL alone, they'll be happy with it. That would be my suggestion, but maybe there's something magically important here. We'll listen to you, and then we'll share with you what we have heard, much like we do in our Unearthed Arcana and 1D&D playtests. This will be a robust conversation before we release a future version of the OGL. So they're not going to leave it alone. Fantastic, I guess. They are within their right, obviously, to make new versions of the OGL. It's just them trying to replace the old one, which in its text actually says that you can use this version of it even if further ones are released. From what I understand. I'm not a lawyer, just a rules lawyer. On or before Friday, January 20th, we'll share new proposed OGL documentation for you to review and feedback, much as we do with our playtest materials. After you review the proposed OGL, you will be able to fill out a quick survey, much like the Unearthed Arcana playtest feedback surveys. It will ask you specific questions about the documentation and include open forum fields to share any other feedback you may have. Then we will compile, analyze, react to, and present back what we've heard from you. Okay, so the transparency thing on this one is going to be really big, because from what I understand, they actually are not the best about reading these things. It's just magically everyone loves it, and if they try and pull that crap, again, we'll get there later. It's... I don't have a lot of faith in Wizards of the Coast anymore. I shouldn't have had it in the first place, but that's my bad. Finally, you deserve some stability and clarity. We are committed to giving creators both input into and room to prepare for any update to the OGL. That is very worrying that they're saying to prepare for the new OGL, because that means it's probably not going to be as O of a GL as the original one. Also, there's a ton of stuff that isn't going to be affected by the OGL update. So today, right now, we'll lay out all the areas that this conversation won't touch. Any changes to the OGL will have no impact on at least these creative efforts. Your video content. I don't think anyone was worried about the OGL. They wouldn't be able to make a YouTube video out of it. Fair use covers, like, almost everything we could possibly want. Your accessories for your owned content. No changes to the OGL will affect your ability to sell minis, novels, apparels, dice, and other items related to your creation, characters, and worlds. How was that even a question? No one was afraid they wouldn't be able to sell dice. Those have been around for thousands of years, even D20s, and that is a nothing statement. They're just trying to make this list longer. Non-published works, for instance, contracted services. You use the OGL if you want to publish your works that reference 5th edition content through the SRD. That means commissioned work, paid DM services, consulting, and so on aren't affected by the OGL. Again, I don't think that was what people were worried about. The only one that even has any kind of bearing on anything is your works that reference the 5th edition content through the SRD. So again, most of the statements means nothing at all. There's no hope they could ever sue somebody for being a paid DM regardless of what the OGL says. VTT content. Any updates to the OGL will still allow any creator to publish their content on VTTs, and will still allow VTT publishers to use OGL content on their platform. Not much of a virtual tabletop guy. I do not actually know if this was in question, but good, I guess. DM's Guild content. The content you release on DM's Guild is published under Community Content Agreement with the Dungeon Masters Guild. This is not changing. DM's Guild is not good for creators. That's just the way things work. Your OGL 1.0a content. Nothing will impact any content you have published under the OGL 1.0a. That will always be licensed under OGL 1.0a. Here they do not say that they are going to allow the OGL 1.0a to continue to exist. It's just going to kind of grandfather the other things in, if I'm reading that right. So that's not good, because that's a really important document that we need not to be destroyed. Your revenue. There will be no royalty or financial reporting requirements. Okay, that's actually good. Your ownership of your content. You will continue to own your content with no license back requirements. As I mentioned before, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not sure what license back requirements is, but they keep hammering home this you will own your content thing, which legally means almost nothing. You technically still owned your content in the 1.1 update they gave, where they said they had their license that was royalty-free worldwide, that couldn't be revoked. You still owned the content under that. They could just, use it however they wanted. Maybe the license back requirements fix that, maybe not. You will hear again from us on or before Friday, as we described above, and we look forward to the conversation. So the feedback thus far has actually caused them a significant deal of financial hardship, let's say, which is why they're taking action now, because everyone made a big stink about it, and fantastic job everyone on that. So now what they're hoping to do is they're hoping to move the conversation onto a platform that they control, so this isn't out in the public anymore. If this follows the plan that they have, you will not see other people discussing it. Repeat a lie often enough and it becomes the truth. If they say that everyone is happy with it and you aren't happy with it, you're like, oh, I must have misunderstood something. And there will be a much, much smaller vocal minority of people who want to sort of raise problems about it compared to what is currently going on with everything out in the actual open. But this is what we call transparency, rather than putting it on their own website where they control the forums, they control the surveys, they are the ones who decide what information should be released in those surveys to the public. That's not transparency if you own every way that they can tell everyone else about this. That's why I don't really think they're backing down as much as they're promising right here. If they put it all in, legal writing, and then the new OGL comes out and it's worlds better than the one they were proposing, that's fine, but I'm not going to believe anything they say at this point until I see it in writing. So yeah, everything just kind of hinges upon whether they do what they say they're going to do or not. So hopefully that works out. So the moral of the story is, please do not shut up about this, for lack of a better term, because the only reason they've backtracked this far is because of the incredible backlash from the entire community, and at this point the public, who are not normally that into the nerd stuff, and they're seeing this at this point. There have been like a couple financing publications that have actually taken notice and said, "Ooh, look at those wizards, they are doing terrible," which is fantastic. That's what we have to do in order to keep this as it is. They should not be revoking the OGL. The only change that they should be making to this document is to add the word irrevocable somewhere in there, from what I understand. As far as legalese goes, that's not really my thing. But if you'd like to subscribe, I normally do animations. I'm going to get back to that as soon as I am done with the Kickstarter fulfillment, which is going really well. Almost done with that. So if you want to hear about any of the projects we have or the YouTube animations, I do third-party content for Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder 2nd and just a bunch of systems. So subscribe for updates on all of those things.